We'll start with Dave and an overview of your ball club. Welcome to Omaha.
Well, first off, what an honor to be here. You know, as you get a little older, I think you appreciate it so much more. You maybe even try to enjoy it a little more and take in all that's going on. You know, had the opportunity to, we've played all three of these guys this year, awfully talented ball clubs, and so we know how tough our bracket is. As far as our season, it's been a great season for our club. We've stayed healthy. You know, we've had a little sickness and little problems here and there, but we haven't had that major injury that can take out one of your top guys. And I truly believe that's why I'm sitting here now, is because we kept our lineup intact, and our pitching staff for the most part was injury free, and it enabled us to continue to, you know, to be consistent. And that's the thing about playing in the SEC and highest level of Division I baseball. If you're gonna have some downtime, but if you can stay healthy, you got a shot. Offensively, we've had a good year. One of the better balanced lineups I've had, maybe the best I've had at times. And then pitching wise, stayed with the same rotation pretty much the whole season. Tweaked it a little bit maybe in Game 3. Bullpen's kind of evolved. And, you know, our closer, Matt Cronin, was really good all year. He did get mono, and it probably cost us a game or two in the middle of the SEC play because we couldn't finish games off because we didn't have him. But we got him back, and he's been throwing the ball extremely well. So just, again, really, really excited to be here and back in Omaha and have a chance to play against these guys.
Mitch Sherman, ESPN.com. Specifically for Tim and Dave on the ends, and Kevin, if you want to weigh in for sure. Coach Pierce, I think it's more of an extended thing for you outside of this room, but with this being the first College World Series since the passing of Augie Garrido, I wonder if the two of you on the end, having coached in the same conference as him at one time in your career, could share an enduring memory or you know, something, a moment from your interactions with him that was impactful for you.
Tim.
Well, the very first time I had a conversation with him face to face was in it was in Lincoln, Nebraska. It was either my first or second year, my first year there, and we still played at Buck Belcher Stadium, and we had worked out I think on a Thursday early, and it was kind of cold, and then I kind of stayed around when Texas got there and tried to spy on him a little bit and watch him practice, and he's trying to win. He's trying to win.
I'm not surprised, Dave.
It wasn't illegal. Anyway, so but in the middle of their practice, I decided, you know, go on out and say hi to him, and he was in the left field, and we had a really good conversation, you know, because I'll be honest with you, that first year at Nebraska, some of the coaches in the league, they weren't real friendly to us. Like, what do you know, we didn't know what we were doing, and it was probably the middle of the season, and he told me that, well, he talked about the weather a little bit and how he hated it, and went on and on, but you know, just said that we were doing a good job, and that he watched us practice a little bit, and he knew we were going to be good by the way we practiced, and I told him I appreciated it, and we became pretty good friends. You know, we talked on the phone off and on, and throughout the time I was in Lincoln, and then, you know, I moved to Arkansas. Obviously, we weren't in the same league anymore. We kept in touch and see him at the conventions and hang out with him a little bit, and he just always had a great story, and people that, you know, didn't know him personally, they didn't know what he was all about. He was very friendly, really intelligent, and you know, like Tim said, he was all about college baseball, and the man knew how to motivate a team, and he knew how to win, obviously.
Right here.
Yeah, Matt Jones, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. For Coach O'Sullivan and Van Horn, the SEC's had the experimental rules this year, the expanded replay, the earpiece. I wonder what you think, what you liked, maybe didn't like about that, and would you like to see any or all of it expanded to the NCAA postseason?
You know, we have a catcher that we let him call a lot of his pitches. We made some hopefully educated suggestions to him. The pitcher, you know, always had the right to shake us off, but we let Grant call him for the most part. But, you know, I stand next to Coach Johnson, our pitching coach, and I would listen to their conversations and chime in a little bit here and there. I know that Coach Johnson really likes the earpiece just to be able to communicate. not even to the point of you're saying fastball, slider, change up, or location, just to be able to communicate a little bit with the catcher. And like Sully said, you know, you don't want the catcher running out there. Maybe there would have to be a rule where catcher can only visit so much. But you know, we definitely liked it. As far as you know, the expanded reviews, I'm a big fan of it. I think it saved a lot of controversy. I think in our league that, I mean, the problems to me usually have been plays at first base. Those were the ones that were overturned, and they changed some innings. So I would like to see that worked on over the next couple of years.
We have Kirk up here.
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman. For Coach Van Horn, how would you describe the rivalry Arkansas has with Texas? And even though you aren't in the same conference over 20 years, is Texas still the #1 rival for Arkansas?
I would say maybe for adults over 50, they might be. Our players, you know, they want to beat LSU and Florida and Mississippi and could go on and on. But I think a lot of our fan base, they still, you know, they still see it that way. And, you know, like I said, we played the University of Texas on a Tuesday and Wednesday. That's early in the season. The weather was okay. We had really nice crowds, big crowds. And if we played them on a weekend, we would have SEC crowds because that's the way a lot of the fans feel about it. And when I say SEC crowd, you know, anywhere from 9,000 to 12,000 a game. Probably doesn't matter what the weather's like. So that's the way I see it. I don't see them as our rival, obviously, but it's just a storied program, and you know they beat up on a lot of people back in the Southwest Conference days, and so a lot of people liked beating Texas back then.
Oh, Kirk, I'm sorry.
Dirk Chatwin, Omaha World Herald.
Dirk.
I'd like to get as much input as possible on this one, but this is the iPhone generation. Kids are bouncing around doing all sorts of different things. I'm curious if players' attention spans are shorter than they used to be, and if so, as coaches, what do you do about it?
Tim, we'll start with you. Come across.
Not touching that one. Not touching that. I mean, you know, you do what you got to do as far as all that goes. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a technology guy down here, so I'll let them answer it.
Sully.
Thanks, Tim. I just think, like anything in life, you have to evolve and you have to change. I think the ability to motivate and reach kids, because they're all different. I think that's our responsibility. That if we're going to try to do things the same way and try to cookie cut how we're going to treat each kid or how we're going to try to reach each kid, then obviously we're not going to be doing as successful as we want to be. So I think every generation changes. The stories back in the day where I walked to school 5 miles with no shoes on. I think that goes on from generation to generation. I just think with the technology that's out there now, you don't want to be a dinosaur. You got to be able to adapt. Simple as that. From a coaching aspect.
David.
I don't think it's just the teenagers. I mean, my wife's attention span has gotten shorter, and I think that's a society thing. Fortunately, I don't hang out with our players, so I don't know if they're on the cell phone or not. But in our clubhouse and when we're in meetings and when we travel, we don't allow players to use their telephones when we're having team meals. It's our time. But it's just the way it is. And like Sully's saying, we've just got to evolve with what's happening in communication. I will say, back in the day when we would have tarp duty and you would have to call the entire team, that was a pain. Now you got one message, one button, and everybody understands that we don't have tarps, but the communication has really expedited because of it. But we haven't had any issues. Honestly, I don't think we've had any issues.
Dave.
Well, like they all basically said, you have to adapt, and that is called group me. We call that group me. Yeah, so we
four group meetings.
So no, I think kids' attention spans. You asked that question. I think it's all the same, and I think kids are the same. They're, you're like Sully said, you just have to adapt and with the times. we have to adjust our personalities a little bit for some kids. I can tell you some kids that are in my lineup and the way they act when they make an out and they're talking to themselves, and some that don't say anything when they walk by me, and it drives me crazy, and I just have to be quiet because I need that guy to get out on base next time he's up. And you just have to work with these guys and realize what gets them going a little bit. But no, technology's great, and everybody has their team rules, whether it's check your phone at the door, or if you let them between pregame and the other team taking batting practice, go up in the locker room and get on their phone. Some teams don't, some teams do. Probably just depends on how it's going, how your team's playing, but no, it's all good.
Matt Jones, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. For Coach O'Sullivan, you faced Blaine Knight twice this season. I wonder what your thoughts are on him. And then for Coach Pierce, as you prepare to likely see him for the first time, what are your thoughts?
He's pretty good. I had the wrong scouting report when we played him the first time at our place. And I remember he might have been up to maybe close to 8 punch-outs after the fourth inning. And I remember J.J. Schwartz, I think he dumped a 3-2 breaking ball in there for a called strike. And obviously that's not what we told our players before the game. J.J. had some choice words about the scouting report. So we had to flip the switch. Obviously, he pitched great. I can't remember all the guys he beat on Friday nights in our league, but he was phenomenal. I mean, he beat Brady Singer, our number one. He beat a bunch of guys on Friday night this year, and obviously we had an opportunity to see him in the SEC tournament, and we didn't have much more luck there either against him. I mean, he's very competitive. He throws to both sides of the plate. He's got 2 different breaking balls. He holds runners. His stuff holds up for the whole game. He's a true Friday night guy, and I'm glad he's leaving after this year, to be honest with you.
Okay, we have right here.
I need to answer. Just quickly, I'll say, of course, we haven't faced him yet, but anybody that's 12-0 in the SEC and non-conference play, the schedule that they've played, that tells you a lot about him. But the thing is, when you face a guy like Blaine, you're looking at a guy that not only has stuff but has plus command with 4 pitches, and so it's hard to eliminate a pitch and sit on something or look on one side of the plate because he can do so much. So he's a tough challenge, and he really handles himself well, even in some adverse situations where it seems like nothing really bothers him. So he'll be a tough challenge, I would think, that they throw him. But yeah, he's good.
Danny Davis, the Austin American Statesman. Dave, how much has your Arkansas team changed, improved since you guys saw Texas in March?
Well, I think we've changed a lot as far as probably the confidence of our team, and the coaches. We know what we're going to get pretty much every day. The lineup hasn't changed a lot. Maybe the batting order, we flipped our. We lead off Eric Cole. He's hit 2-hole, 3-hole for us, and we did that. Gosh, I did that maybe 25 games ago, and it just seemed like it got better. I've had 3 different leadoff guys, and we finally went back with Eric. As far as the middle of the lineup, it's pretty much the same. We've had some guys that have. They're playing better down the stretch than they did maybe 20 games ago, which has been big for us. Probably the biggest change is that we figured out our bullpen a little bit, and who could come in and do what in certain situations, and then do it again the next time and the next time, because it was a little bit iffy early. Other than that, I don't think there's been a lot of changes. Just the fact that they know each other better and we know what to expect, and I think we've been able to make moves a little better and maybe match up a little better than we could early in the season. We learned our players a little bit.
Howard Borden, KOTK Omaha. Congratulations to all the coaches. Welcome back to Omaha. This will be a question for all of you. Sometimes the park can play big in the outfield. Could you talk about your outfielders? Can they, how they chase down balls, their arms to the cutoffs, and lots of times there's big plays at bags. So what are your thoughts on your fielders in the outfield?
Dave, why don't you start?
Well, my center fielder defensively is, and I've had some good center fielders. He's as good as we've ever had, and he's not as fast as some of them, but his jumps and reads are incredible. Dominic Fletcher's his name. And then Eric Cole plays right field. He was a center fielder in high school. Had some issues with his ankles and feet. He's fouled balls off of both of them. He's a switch hitter. He's got bone bruises and all kinds of issues. Knocked down his speed a little bit, but he gets good jumps on the ball. Left fielder's a freshman, Heston Kerstad. He's really done a good job defensively. He struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks. He lost a ball in the high sky. He overran a ball that was slicing back by him, and kind of in between daylight and dark. A little tough to see, but gets pretty good jumps on the ball. So I would say we've got a little better than average outfield and probably combined a little better than average speed. So I feel good about our outfield play.
Mike LaPresti, NCAA.com, for anyone who wants to address this. College basketball has really struggled on what to do about the draft. One and done, not one and done, some other way. Could it learn something from baseball, or are the two situations so different there's not really any correlation to be found?
Dave, why don't you start?
He said if you wanted to chime in on that. I don't know if I want to chime in on that. I mean, there's a fine line there, because you're talking about telling a young man coming out of high school, example, we can't pay you. I'd like to see kids at a minimum go to school for 2 years. College baseball, obviously, we usually get to keep them for 3. I've had some really good players. We've only kept 2 that were draft eligible, and they both signed for multi-million dollars. And so I had someone from the Boston Globe call me after Andrew Benintendi signed and asked me, well, Coach, how hard did you try to talk him out of not signing? I started laughing. And he said, what are you laughing about? I said, are you kidding me? I wanted him to sign. I didn't need to deal with that pressure of him coming back, turning down X amount of money. And my point being, it was a no-brainer. But, yeah, I don't know what college basketball could learn from us. It's a lot different, I think. There's only a few maybe compared to, we have a lot of kids that we're dealing with. You go through all these programs that kids are turning down $500,000, $800,000, which is a lot of money to a lot of people. So I would call that a no comment, I guess.